Thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Africa. We apologize for the late start today. We had a bit of some technical hitch, but nevertheless, we're here, and I trust that you had a wonderful weekend. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and warm welcome to you. And I think I'll just bring in my panelists, and then we'll go through quickly the headlines this morning. And I'm joined by Professor Jared Onyari from Nairobi. Prof, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam, my fellow panelists, our viewers from wherever they are.
All right, and we're also joined by Sharon Gitonga, a journalist from Nairobi. Sharon, a very good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and a very good morning to you at the headquarters in Nairobi. My co-panelists, Samuel Tawish and Professor Jared Onyari, and to all our viewers are watching us, whether it's their morning, afternoon, or evening. Good morning.
Good morning, Sharon, and nice to have you today. And also we do have Samuel Tawish, Punchline Africa correspondent and also a journalist from Nairobi, and our political analyst here. Samuel Tawish, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning indeed, Miriam Ogutu. Good morning to my colleague panelist, Professor Jared Onyari, Sharon Gitonga, and all our viewers watching this program in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. My pleasure to join you on this program.
Very well, so let's just go quickly. And we start with the Star newspaper and the main headline, inside DP Ruto's bag of goodies for Raila's staff. He will campaign in Kisumu, Migori, and Homa Bay counties. The story is on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. Raila to declare presidential bid on December 9th. And Nairobi Snake Parks Mzee Alligator terminally ill. And then IEBC's Chebukati puts politicking ministers on notice. That is what we have on the front page of the Star newspaper. The Standard newspaper, Ruto woos Kalonzo as Raila storms City. DP, in a response to Wiper leader, says he is ready to work with other aspirants, even as ODM boss plans a major rally in Nairobi next month to declare his candidature for president. The story is on page 6 and 7 of the Star newspaper. If they die, we all die. Drought ravages Kenya. That is on the national page. 3 of the Standard. Fuel set to cost less in Nairobi. The story is on page 25. Clueless, rudderless, Manchester United. That is on sport page, page 39. I don't know what's going on there. What VCs want in new founding reforms plan, and KEMSA staff now locked out of office ICT system. The story is on page 8 of the Standard newspaper. The Daily Nation revealed the Raila 150 billion Kenya shillings cash plan. The story is on page 7. Ruto rise to IEBC over Matiang'i and Musheru. The story is on page 4. And it's joy of Maulid for Muslims. The story is on the back page. And Okemo Gishuru faced 14 years in prison if found guilty. The story is on page 8. And today we have the People Daily. The main headline, Raila's guessing game as Ruto courts OKA. ODM leader to make big announcement on 9th of December. And then race again, it's time to have 10 million Kenyans vaccinated. And the story is on page 2, and Nakuru gets lion's share of new CBC classrooms. The story is on page 6, and of course the main pictorial there is the rallies that happened yesterday. Raila Odinga was in Eastleigh, and DP Ruto was in Naivasha. So let's just start our conversation this morning as according to the Standard newspaper, Ruto woos Kalonzo as Raila storms City. The story is on page 6 and 7 of the Star newspaper. I don't know if Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper leader and senior counsel, will be willing to join the Deputy President. But Deputy President William Ruto has declared readiness to work with presidential hopefuls willing to join him in forming the next government. The DP's call indicates his United Democratic Alliance readiness to form the next government with a political party with the same ideologies as its own. We are open and welcome all leaders who are ready to join us on lifting this country under our bottom-up economic model. We are prepared for those who want to work with us. This bottom-up economic model, is it something that Kalonzo Musyoka might want to join and be part of, Professor, from what we've been seeing?
Yeah, you know, in politics, Miriam, everything is possible. There is no answer in politics. we have seen very strange bedfellows, Miriam, working together. So if the former vice president thinks that he can go on to bottom-up approach and work, Miriam, it is possible because, Miriam, you see what text which you are going to take from the other side. Because I did tell you, Miriam, that for sure Kalonzo will not be the running mate of the deputy of Papa. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you, Miriam, because the swing votes of the mountain, Miriam, we have to dangle the carrot. So on that, and Miriam, but it will be stronger, and it will be stronger in a government, Miriam, which is trying to unite the people of Kenya. Miriam, in a government which is trying to take this country forward, Miriam, and I wish, Miriam, that he applies the ceramic wisdom of the two women who are fighting for that baby. When Solomon wanted to cut the baby into half, Miriam, the other one said, no, if that's the case, just give her the baby, Miriam. And then King Solomon was able to know who was the real mother for that kid. So Miriam, Kenya is big. Miriam, we need to just joke around, Miriam, to take it for granted, Miriam. Miriam, this country, Miriam, from where I sit, we need Miriam unity in this country. I can tell you for sure, Miriam. And the younger generation, Miriam, where William Ruto belongs and where we are in the same age bracket, Miriam, we can afford to wait. And Penya was saying, Miriam Chamba, Miriam, we want to have Baba's one Mandela moment, Miriam, so that he can be able to put this country into the right track to prosperity and for us to enjoy democracy and liberate this country, Miriam, for once and for all. So Miriam, and you know who Kalonzo has been, Miriam, is a man during the one-party regime, Miriam. You know, Miriam, I do forgive, but I don't forget. That's something bad with me. You know, during the one regime, Miriam, they did not see evil. They did not evil, Miriam. They did not talk evil, Miriam. That's how they were. And the country was one of the worst dark moments in the history of this country. People had to go to detention, Miriam. People had to shed blood, Miriam. For us to have Kenya, we have today, Miriam. And that's the only problem, Miriam, I have with this Huda Tanga side, Miriam. They don't know that this country, Miriam, has been fought to be where it is. So, without talking much and give my fellow panelists an opportunity to speak, Miriam, I say the Vice President, Dr. Stephen Kalonzo, he will be stronger with the Baba, even being given a role like now as a goodwill ambassador to Southern Sudan, Miriam. It's a special envoy to Sudan and the Raja Sudan and the Southern Sudan, Miriam. He will be stronger, Miriam, because he will be serving a government taking this country forward.
All right. Very well, Professor. Perhaps we should look for the former vice president to tell us what's happening there in South Sudan, being the special envoy that was given that position by the government of Kenya. Now, his statement appeared to target former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, who recently stated that he was unavailable for talks with Ruto. If you hear them, Ruto, looking for me, tell them I'm available because Kenyans must consult. If they want to reach out to me, they are most welcome, said Kalonzo in response to question on the possibility of him working with the DP. So if we were to go with that statement, so there's a possibility, as Professor, you've said there in politics, you can never say never. Sharon Gitonga, he bottom-up economy wamekuwa wakipiga. Is Kalonzo likely to join and drum up for it?
Thank you very much, Miriam. And indeed, it's a season of political maneuvering, if I can call it. But I think the first major mistake that Kalonzo actually did is to actually declare that he's actually willing to work with with the deputy president. If anything, I think he should have actually let his foot soldiers to actually do it for him. But then, when all that aside, I think I am now quite tending to find this Kalonzo actually quite inconsistent. And if anything, his character is, similarizing slowly to that of the deputy president. I think I saw a recent interview that he was actually, bashing the deputy president and actually calling him out to openly to actually prove, his source of wealth. So, and then right now, seeing him saying he's actually, ready for talks with the deputy president, I am finding this being, being him a man of, double standards, being a duplicit. And then for Ruto, on the other hand, what has happened overnight that he is actually now be open to forming a coalition, because I think he had actually said at some point he's not open to, doing any coalition. And then to another extent, he said he will actually do coalition, post-elections. Then recently, he's, just yesterday, he's now open to actually doing coalitions. What has actually, happened overnight? I find this being, being people of, double standards. I think Kalonzo should actually be true to himself. Him saying that he's actually, you'd rather go back to the village than support the ODM. I would love to tell him, publicly that UDA is actually going to be no better. In anything, he's actually going to be relegated, and he has no space here because a bottom-up economic model is actually full of sharks. So he's better off, working with his traditional allies, and these are, from the former prime minister and to all, Oka team. This is where he's actually going to, this is actually going to pull his political stakes. So because when I look at him, actually, let's give him a benefit of doubt and say he actually ends up joining UDA, but I don't think he's actually going to bring in all that influence, even when you talk about his 2.8 million votes in Eastern. Recently there was a by-election in Gumba, I think Musamba ward in Makueni, and he could not even pull the by-election. So we'd rather just tell him the reality and the reality of politics, and be realistic with him. Mm-hmm. And finally, as I conclude, this Ruto, as he continue calling people to his newly found marriage, can he officially, resign Jubilee? Because now he cannot be calling people to a party that is actually illegally for sitting on. Let him start by, resigning before he actually call in more defectors. Thank you.
And I think Jubilee will be meeting to help him solve that problem, hopefully. But before we get there, Samuel Tawish, former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka seems to be open to consultations. He said Kenyans must consult, and should the deputy president be looking for him, he'll be willing to sit down and have a conversation about a possibility of working together.
Thank you so much, Miriam Ogutu, and thank you, colleague panelists, for the submissions you have made. Indeed, Miriam, just like Professor Jared Onyari did say, in politics, anything is possible. I won't quite be surprised to see former Vice President and Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka deciding at long last to work with the Deputy President William Ruto. I remember in the run-up to 2013 general election and 2017, Kalonzo Musyoka came out just before then. And when there were rumors that he was going to work with the Raila Amolo Odinga as his running mate, and he actually, of course, he poured cold water on any possibility of him working with Raila Amolo Odinga in the run-up to 2013 and 2017 general election. But what did we see? He ended up working with him not once, but twice, not as a presidential candidate, but as a running mate. Something that he had actually vowed that he was not going to play second fiddle, at least not to Raila Amolo Odinga. And as we even get to 2022 general election, it is going to be very interesting, Miriam, looking into our political landscape. And of course, the realignments and the jostling amongst the big political players, because they want to secure their space. And something very interesting also, Miriam, is that Kalonzo Musyoka has been trying to play hard even with the other OCA principals, the likes of Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula, dismissing any possibility of working with Raila Omolo Odinga and also with Deputy President William Ruto. In fact, if you are just to jog your memory a bit, you will notice that Kalonzo Musyoka has always but wished away Deputy President William Ruto for the simple reason he thinks William Ruto is a man of anger, is a man of arrogance, is a man who is not who is not of good temperament really to lead this country, and is a man he has always described as the most corrupt and one who has seen, of course, the turbulent economic times that this country is really facing. And therefore, he wouldn't even imagine, even in his dream, really, that he can work with the Deputy President William Ruto. But because politics is what it is, I won't be surprised to see the same former Vice President working with the Deputy President William Ruto. And you could clearly see, even from the Ruto Brigade, the allies coming out and even trying to apportion or give a slot to former VP that he can make a very good speaker. In itself, therefore, they are trying to tell him, even if you are planning, even if you are dreaming that you can come to our house, then don't think that you'll have a seat at the main table. You'll have to sit somewhere aside there. I think basically that is the message that they are sending to Kalonzo Musyoka. But like I've said, Miriam, the hardball that the likes of Kalonzo have been playing all this long, they are noticing that the ground has shifted. They are noticing that they do not have supporters behind them. They are noticing that the only formidable forces that we have is Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto. And therefore, they have a choice between going to Raila Amolo Odinga to support his candidature or William Ruto. The question is, which of the two leading presidential candidates will they opt for? I think that is only the question that actually they are pondering, and even people are really waiting to see, because I'm not very sure, at least with my understanding of politics, that Kalonzo Musyoka can mount a serious presidential election. I do not really think that Musalia Mudavadi can mount a serious presidential campaign, at least not that can challenge the current, of course, scenario that we have, that of Raila Amolo Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto. I was listening to Fred Gumo, MP for Westlands and former cabinet minister, just 2 days ago when he had an interview with one of the local television, and he said it is okay, anyone can have their name on the ballot, that anyone absolutely has a democratic right, as long as you qualify, as long as you have the money to deposit to a political party and to IEBC for you to become a candidate. It is not a big deal. The question is, by the end of the day, how many votes are you going to get? You could get about 100,000 votes. Does that propel you to the house on the hill? Not absolutely, Miriam. So I think these individuals have to re-strategize. They have to go back to the drawing board. Is it better working with Raila Odinga because they have worked together in the past? Or can they now decide to say whatever they have said all along about Deputy President William Ruto is now behind us, we can work with Deputy President William Ruto. So it's a wait and see game, Miriam. I submit.
Okay, thank you. And also Sharon has reminded us just a couple of weeks ago, they had a back and forth over who is most corrupt, and we saw former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka holding a press conference after the DP accused him of allegedly acquiring some land illegally, and there was a back and forth and some daring and all that. So, but this is politics, and anything and everything can be buried very quickly, and people can start on a clean slate. Okay. So now, before we move on,
Miriam, let me just have this to say. There is one thing, Miriam, I want to say kudos to the deputy president of this country, Miriam. Miriam, be very honest. Perhaps it is me and you or someone else who can say that who has not stolen in this country. So that we go and say, carry the stone, you be the first one to stone Ruto. What he has done, Miriam, he has stolen, of course, he has gotten the hill where he has gotten, but he's at least sharing it with the people, Miriam. When he goes and takes he at least is giving out, Miriam,
but that doesn't
the excess one. Others, Miriam, you will never see, and they are pretending, and they have rooted from this country, Miriam.
Okay.
Yeah, we have what we have. So what happens here, Miriam? When Caruso was, I'm building a base, Miriam, that. When Kalonzo already was a minister, Miriam, William Ruto was just a YK boy. They were the ones singing for them, Miriam. But the things have turned down, Miriam, And that's why sometimes they cannot come open and say they are supporting him, Miriam. Because you see, even when you take the interview which was done for Jirongo Miriam, si alikuwa anamuita yeye alikuwa mtu yangu ya mkono. Kwani zile pesa Jirongo alikuwa na mpaka akakuwa nicknamed the note. Ilikuwa ya nini Miriam? So in one way or the other, it is because Ruto is a shrewd politician, Miriam. He is a sly politician, Miriam. He knows how he can punch very fast, Miriam. And those who were senior yesterday, who thought that they were very, very serious politicians, Miriam, now they can afford to go to him. That's how I look at him. So Kalonzo saying, "Oh, he's a thief, he's whatnot." Then let 10 politicians around Miriam, I said they have quoted all the verses in the Bible. But the one dealing with Zakayo, I've not seen any telling Kenyans that I will return their money.
All right, so we shall be looking out for that, Prof. Thank you. And speaking of money and Zakayo in church, Deputy President William Ruto was forced to make his financial contribution to church he had not planned to visit after the Holy Spirit Catholic Church in Gilgil cancelled at the 11th hour a fundraiser he had been invited to. Ruto drove with his entourage from Gilgil to St. Joseph AIPCA Kikopey, where he sat on plastic chairs stacked in each other to raise it under a simple tent without the usual red carpet, an indicator of rushed arrangements to host him. Gilgil Member of Parliament Martha Wangari revealed that she had personally invited Ruto for a fundraiser that was to take place at Holy Spirit Catholic Church in Gilgil. However, in the wisdom of what church leadership, they changed and couldn't go there for the fundraiser. And we respect church leadership, said Wangari. While the Catholic Church has banned politics on its pulpits, it was not immediately clear why Ruto's attendance was cancelled. And so that was cancelled. So he decided, I wanted to bless a church this morning or yesterday, so he had to find another church to take this contribution, and that happened to be St. Joseph AIPCA in Kikopey. Very interesting. Sharon? Samuel Tawish?
Well, Miriam, there's what is called the conflict between opportunity and obligation, and I think this is largely what our churches are going through. They have an obligation to actually abide by the calls from their higher leadership, not to take any money from politicians in form of harambes or contribution to churches in such colossal amounts. But again, they also have this opportunity that they think if we cannot invite or take this money during this time, when these politicians are asking for the vote, then we may not get it after all. So they are actually in that conflict, and they do not know how to strike the balance between this conflict of opportunity and obligation. Miriam, but be that as it may, I think it is very important. This is something that has widely been said. I hope Deputy President William Ruto is not trying to sanitize what has been perceived as ill-gotten wealth, actually taking to church or apparently to get blessings from God. And Kenyans are very clever really to see into these machinations and lies and the use of money to induce voters, really to make them, to compromise them when it comes to making a decision. Because he wants to come out as a person who cares so much about the church. He wants to come out a person who is more of a philanthropist. But so many people have been asking, how come that the Deputy President William Ruto has not been very keen doing these very activities in his home turf, that is in Uasin Gishu or the larger Kalenjin nation? We have not even seen him initiate any or even display any interest to see into it, how the Kiambaa Church can be rebuilt, or the people really who are victims of the Kiambaa Church in Uasin Gishu are actually even compensated, or their churches built again. That is the only way we will really understand and get to rate Ruto as a person who is sincere with whatever kind of endeavors is making. But looking at what he's doing to other parts of the country, dishing out money to border borders, to mama mbogas, and going to the churches making harambes, I think these are just but political baits the Deputy President William Ruto is using really to win the votes of these people and the larger people of Kenya, most of those who are, of course, less privileged in our society. As to whether it is going to really to translate into votes when the actual voting will be taking place in August next year is something that we'll have to wait and see. Remember, there's also been an argument about whether the crowds that the politicians normally pull during political rallies
really translate into votes. These are things that we really want to see. Because the other day I saw Musalia Mudavadi and the Oka, of course, brigade in Githurai. They had almost the same crowds or attendance like it were with Deputy President William Ruto, like it were with Raila Amolo Odinga. So by the end of the day, I want to see when the people of Githurai 45 will be voting come next year's general election. I want to see out of all these leading presidential candidates, who is it that will be able to actually take a big chunk of this vote? So generally, Miriam,
yes,
when you talk about monies and in our churches, this is something that has been spoken widely. It is something that has been reprimanded even by the leadership of different churches in the country. But why some churches and church leadership continue to disobey these directives, or even just a moral responsibility, I quite cannot understand why they are taking that trajectory. Miriam, I submit.
Okay, thank you. So now efforts to reach the church leadership on phone for comment was futile as calls went unanswered. We take it that Ruto coming to AIPCA Kikopey instead is an answered prayer. That is according to the Member of Parliament there. It is not by mistake, but by God's design. It is now clear that your contribution would still come to this constituency, said Wangari, who is the Member of Parliament for Gilgil. When he rose to speak, Ruto thanked the church leadership for hosting him, reiterating that his attendance had come earlier than they had planned. We had planned to go to Gilgil, but God's plan was that we come to AIPCA St. Joseph. It was not in our plan. I'm told you were planning to invite me, but I have come early. So apparently God had a change of plans for Ruto yesterday. It's interesting how God's name is just, how God works, Professor.
Let me just tell you that
God works in mysterious ways.
I have been in this game. I have been in this game, Miriam, that and to be very honest, let me when the people say you can just walk to a church. These people had no idea that you are going to. They were going to have any correction on that particular day. And then you will see the elders just moving outside, the leaders of the church moving outside, Miriam, because you have just gone there to worship. And they want to take advantage and shame on them. Simply because you are contesting, and now they will say, oh, you know what, we were having a correction here, Sadaka, and it's good that you have come and God has answered our prayers. Miriam, how wicked our religious leaders. They have done that one to me several times. And I just look at them and, okay, this is what you think I mint money, but I just give my offering in the ritual I have. So that is exactly what happened, Miriam, the deputy president. It is not anything like Miriam. It is because wherever they see this politician, Miriam, they see them in terms of money. And Miriam, let me tell you this. Sometimes Miriam, let us be soft on our politicians. Because the society makes them to steal. Miriam, I can go to a church and Miriam, God has given me my 5,000, my 5,000, my 40,000, and I want. See, like the case, what happened to Kangata, the senator from Muranga. What he wanted is to give is 40,000. Miriam, you are not compared, Miriam, that if you are a governor or you are contesting for governor, if you are this is the kind of money you have to give. But that's how the SAD gets you. So Miriam, if the SAD wants me to pay 100,000 or 500,000, what are they telling me, Miriam? Go and steal and bring us the money. That's exactly what happens, Miriam. It is very unfortunate, Miriam, that the deputy president went there to worship. He did not intend to cut money, but since he knows the thinking of this, exactly what they do.
Prof,
he cuts money in a sack so that he gives.
He had carried money to a certain church, but that was refused. So this money, he had to find a place to take it. So he
That's correct, Miriam.
He ended up at AIPC or something like that.
And when those people saw him, Miriam, they were very glad that God has answered their prayer.
The cash cow just arrived. Okay. Very well, thank you. Sharon Gitonga, before we move on from this matter.
Thank you very much, and my apologies. I think I suffered quite a technical hitch earlier on, yeah. Okay. But if I could get from the conversations ongoing, it's quite unfortunate, even the church has actually, fallen into the tune of, corruption, and shows no commitment towards, fighting these corruption, even as instead they actually sanitize these leaders. That's why you see them celebrating. But my biggest question would be, where actually does, Ruto get all this money to dish out in churches? It has been a biggest concern for me, because not just even in churches, you've seen him conducting conducting campaigns everywhere. And I think on Friday we're actually asking, there was a report that was saying he's actually been able to do 135 campaigns within a very short period of time. Where does he actually get all this money to transverse, each and every corner of the country, and even dishing out handouts? It's quite unfortunate, and I wish this money would actually be channeled into something meaningful, at least even during his last tenure, because Kenyans are actually holding him accountable. He has actually things that he actually promised us. Talk about stadiums, talk about laptops for class 1 children. Right now, I think those kids are actually about to join high school.
No, they joined. It was the same time. I think my son, who is in high school now, it was the same time he was supposed to be joining, I think, primary school. So our watoto wameshaenda high school, Sharon.
Yeah, they're in high school, they actually, some of them are actually almost voting. So they will also have these questions, because they say, that the past will always, leave a shadow. So I wish he just channels all these money to go into some constructive, projects that at least, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So, all right, so our time is gone, but there's something I'd like us to talk about here, because we have to give way for another live stream of Dr. Matanga. He'll be having an interview on Cast TV, and we'll be streaming it here. But I want us to discuss this very quickly. IEBC Chebukati puts politicking ministers on notice. The story is on page 7 of the Star newspaper. And the Electoral Agency has asked cabinet secretaries to keep off the 2022 politics, saying their neutrality would be diminished by them associating with either side of the divide. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission maintained that the law prohibits state officers and public officers from engaging in politics. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati, in response to the United Democratic Alliance, said state officials should stay away from activities that may compromise the political neutrality of the office they hold. There is need for all state officers and public officers to uphold political neutrality, Chebukati said in November 5th letter to UDA, which sought his clarification. So IEBC has given their warning shot, especially for senior public servants like the CSS to desist from engaging in politics, as this will affect their neutrality. What's your take on that, Professor?
Ordinarily, Miriam, our constitution forbids the state officers from engaging themselves in politics. Mm-hmm. But again, the state officers, Miriam, also belong to this country. If they belong to this country, Miriam, what comes first, Miriam? Is it to be stopped from doing your things, or your country comes first? And even some of these state officers you are talking about, Miriam, they have been given job by someone. They have been given what? They have been given work to do by the president, Miriam. And the president, Miriam, wants things to work towards a certain direction, Miriam. And Miriam, we are at the state of Asilimia Moja, our Kenya. So I don't think, Miriam, if a civil servant, Miriam, or a cabinet secretary, Miriam, or a principal secretary, Miriam, is talking about the language of peace, then he can be stopped from engaging in politics, if that's what will bring peace in the country. What if, Miriam, if they keep quiet and the country goes on flames, Miriam? You will be a cabinet secretary, a state officer for what? So, Miriam, they have got clear instruction. Miriam, today, if the president decides to fire any of the cabinet secretary, are you going to stop him? Did you tell him Miriam appoint so and so? He appointed men and women, Miriam, who will help him execute his manifesto, his policies, and the things he wants to do, Miriam, and do behind us Aregas. The president is so much committed, Miriam, in living a united country. So the cabinet secretary cannot run away from the politics of this country, Miriam, especially working towards uniting this country. So Chebukati is here advised. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Sometimes, Miriam, when I look at Chebukati from in front, from behind, I don't see the difference. I don't. When I look from front and I look from behind, I cannot be able to say what Chebukati really stands for. He has not told us who pangled the election, Miriam. He has not told us what the Supreme Court, Miriam, said about the pangled election of 2017, Miriam. He has not opened the server, Miriam. You see the kind of things he's involving, Miriam, just going to Greece. How dare you go to Greece, Miriam? You rather go to our river, Odia, Miriam, and print ballot papers, Miriam. He has too much in store, Miriam, for them. And Miriam, from where I sit, to be very honest, and the time will come to vindicate me, that man is not fit to oversee our elections, Miriam. I don't know how it will work out, Miriam. He is not fit. Miriam, if you, as you were growing up, Miriam, you saw a snake. I know you must have seen a snake. Tawish can tell you, Miriam. As long as it doesn't matter how many years you grow old, you become, Miriam. Wherever you reach that spot, Miriam, you remember that snake. Wherever you see a rope, you think it is a snake, Miriam. So, Miriam, from where I sit, the face of Chebukati, Miriam, makes me to be very pious, Miriam, because I don't see anything good in him towards making free and credible election, Miriam. Even the kind of ministers Miriam is talking about, they are going to raid in Miriam, to raid the research, Miriam. The minister is talking about, Miriam, is the minister, Miriam, who is going to offer him security, Miriam. Otherwise, his body, the head will be just be smashed, and then he may not. Miriam, I have no kind words, and it's unfortunate that he's telling us, Miriam. Right. He should be able to tell us what happened to 2017 general election, Miriam, which were pangled, Miriam. He should tell us what are some of the things, Miriam, he has done. Look here, Miriam, we have just had for the registration for 1 month, and we keep on just coming. Why didn't he do civic education, Miriam?
Okay, Prof, we have to end now.
Miriam. He has absconded due to Miriam. Very unfortunate.
It's quite unfortunate. I think you've summoned everything else everyone else wanted to say. Samuel Tawish and Sharon, you will excuse me because our time is gone and we have to keep way forward for the next show. But we shall be back here at 11 a.m. I think Doctor will be making a special report in regards to what is happening there in Ethiopia. So you will forgive me for now, but I know this is something you wanted to talk about. We can revisit and have this conversation in our subsequent shows later. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Magutu. Bye-bye for now.